3 Lives 3 Worlds, 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms. By Tangqi Gongzi. Translated by Hamster 428. Chapter 17. My sleep lasts well into the night when someone suddenly pounds on the door outside. Under the bright cold starlight is a bloodshot-eyed Nana holding the little doe in deep sleep. When she sees me, her knitted brow loosen up as she quickly says, "Yesterday you said His Young Highness would wake up by the 3rd hour. It's now past the 3rd hour and he still doesn't show any sign of coming to. His small face is getting redder by the minute. I have no other choice but to trouble you. My sleepiness leaves me." Nana lights the candle while I place the doe on my bed. I examine him and smile to Nana. Kids usually will wake up by the 3rd hour from their drunken spell, but from the doe's condition, I think he'll sleep until morning. It's a good thing his face is getting redder. That's a sign the alcohol is leaving his body. You don't have to worry. Nana sighs in relief as she comes into understanding. You haven't slept a wink ever since carrying the doe back. She sheepishly smiles. I take the little doe's undergarment off and wrap him up in a blanket. I push him to the side and tell Nana, I'll transfer some of my energy to him. I promise I'll give you back a buoyant doe tomorrow morning. But he should probably have some hangover porridge when he wakes up. Why don't you take a good rest and make some porridge to bring over tomorrow? Nana seems tentative as she says, I'm afraid he'll trouble your ladyship's sleep. I pat the doe's face. You see, he's completely out. You brought him here all the way from King Yun Palace and he still didn't know a thing. How can he bother my sleep? Nana lets out a laugh and bows down to leave. Although the little doe doesn't give me any trouble, his body and face keep sweating continuously. It seems like he's in deep sleep, but I'm worried he isn't very comfortable. I bring in a water basin and loosen the blanket a little. I wipe him every once in a while, and continue to do so from the 4th hour until the morning lord comes out. Just like that, I didn't get to sleep again through the entire night. I sigh as I put his clothes back on him. Now I know how hard it is to raise a child, and I can't help but to admire Yehoah even more. When Nana brings the porridge over, I have already finished dressing the doe, but I still haven't taken the water basin away. Nana quietly looks at the basin on the ground with an overwhelmed expression. Then she squats down to take it away. When she comes back, I have finished my personal hygiene and am sitting there staring at the porridge she made. I only told her to bring over some as a diversion last night. I knew the little doe might not wake so soon. I sadly stare at the bowl. If porridge has feelings, the bowl in front of me would probably feel miserable being stirred back and forth in the pot for so long only to sit here until it turns cold and gets thrown away. I whimper in lamentation. Nana smiles and says, His Highness isn't up yet and the porridge won't be good once it cools. Have your ladyship have your breakfast yet? If you don't mind, would you please try some? I can't turn down such sincerity now, can I? I grin and grab it right away. Just as I finish the porridge, the 18 maids from yesterday lithely glide into my yard. The 2 in front holds 2 breakfast dishes. The other 16 carries fruits and wine. I already ate, so I want to tell them to bring the breakfast back. But when I see the food, I think to the doe's impending hunger once he wakes, so I tell them to leave the breakfast on the table. I let Nana stay to watch over the doe and I leave with the group of maids to Ling Bao Tiansan's spring again. The trails in heaven are lined with rocks on two sides. Some are wide to begin with, but they get divided by a large boulder in the middle, making one large road into two narrow paths. One must pay attention when traversing these paths. It's not a good idea to talk behind someone else's back. There are now two maids, I'm not sure whose, standing by the boulder ahead. I stop to listen because they are mentioning Princess Mooking. One of the two says, I knew that Mooking wasn't the contented type. She caused trouble last night as I suspected. The other says, I still don't know what she did. I asked Sister Hong Yuan what happened, but she scolded me without saying anything. Then the first one replies, talk about the other unmindful one. His Highness has only brought her here for one day and she already wants to chase Mooking away. I heard Our Lady had to kneel in the study until midnight because she was pleading for Mooking. Why does Our Lady keep doing these things? She's really one of a kind. She's both beautiful and kind. I don't know why His Highness still hasn't given her a glance. Ever since I came to her quarter, I haven't seen His Highness visiting her once. Remember that time when the little cobra's son from the North Sea caused trouble? Even Tianjun was furious, but when Sister Suezu ran to tell the Crown Prince, he didn't bat an eyelash. I know it's not our place to say anything, but she's still his mistress. He never even acknowledges her existence here in Saho Palace. Poor lady, I feel so sorry for her. His Highness is now blinded by the white fox from King Kaiu. She's probably going to be his wife in the future. They haven't wed, but look how she follows him around. Who knows what she'll do once they're married? A few months ago, when His Highness was kept at King Kaiu, Our Lady feared he'd forget his work, so she sent Sister Jinghua to King Kaiu for a reminder. But she was chased out before she even came through the door. Highs, our kind mistress will probably have to suffer under her ladyship of King Kaiu. When these two fall into momentary silence, the 18 maids and I also have to hold our breath on this side of the rock. The two maids in front are making their way over. I raise my fan to stop them. They look at me with worry as I smile to reassure them. I know the silence is only momentary. Sure enough, they come back to me, the main topic. Did you hear? The ladyship from King Kaiu is already 140,000 years old. 140,000 years old already? Then isn't she like an old granny? She's older than His Highness by 90,000 years, she could be his grandmother. What shamelessness! I know there's an engagement, but marrying a guy that young is pushing it. Someone voices out in agreement, right? How improper for someone so old. I'm sure she used magic to bewitch His Highness. Highs, I can only hope he soon sees her true self and returns to Our Lady's side. It seems their confiding chit-chat is coming to an end with this. I had only wanted to hear a little gossip, but it turns out it's all about me. Today I feel less fun without someone splashing water with me. There are two from the 16 maids who are well versed in music. They play the pipa, a Chinese lute, for an entire hour and relieve some of my loneliness. But no matter how good they are, they can't compare to Moi Wan from the past. It was interesting at first, but I get bored after a while. I bathe for a while more and drape my clothes back on. I tell the maids to stay there while I return to Fanghua Estate to bring back some books. Maybe I can kill time while bathing if I have something to read. When I arrive at Fanghua Estate's main gate, it springs open before I even push it. Yehua furrows his brow when he sees me, his arm holding the little doe. I knew he's not the chummy type when I first met him at the East Sea. But he's been so friendly ever since that I had forgotten how cold he can be. His fierce eyes give me chills. His eyes darken as he says in a heavy tone, "It seems like Ali drank some wine." From what I know he's been sleeping since yesterday's afternoon, but he's still not up yet. What's going on? I glance at the red-faced doe and calmly reply, "I let him drink 2 bottles, so he's a little drunk now." He frowns. "He's been out all this time. Why didn't you say anything to me? Or take him to the royal doctor?" Surprised, I ask, "Why are you doting so much on the child?" "My parents never took me to the doctor when I got drunk from Jian's wine. The little doe isn't a girl either. If you keep fretting over him like this, he might turn feminine when he grows up." He remains quiet, then at length, he walks past me and says throatily, "Since you didn't give birth to Ali, you probably never loved him like your own son and can only treat him like a stepson. If he was your real son, you wouldn't be saying these things." I stand there confused. By the time I understand his meaning, my entire body turns cold. I haven't given birth, but I know for sure I love the doe as much as I will any child of mine. I pity him for losing his mother at such a young age, and I've always tried my best to protect him. But all my feelings are returned with such criticizing words. I lightly chuckle from behind. I've always wanted an adorable and clever child like him. Too bad his real mother is the dead woman who has thrown herself down Zuxian Tai. I come from the Xiaoao, carefree happiness, school of thought from Kunlun, not the Buddhist school in the West, so naturally I don't have Buddha's kindness. From what I know, your mistress is quite a kind lady. Why don't you ask her to take care of Ali from now on? You can stop letting him suffer by my side now." He tenses up. After a long moment he finally says, "Don't say such words to upset me. I didn't mean it that way." Then he takes off running with the little doe towards the doctor's estate. The further his figure retreats into the distance, the more unhappy I feel. As I turn back into the yard, Naina appears before me. Her eyes are red as she grabs my sleeves and asks, "Did your ladyship happen to see anyone leaving the estate? Is anything wrong?" Wretched tears fall from her eyes as she sobs, "Oh, please punish me. It was all my fault. You treated His Young Highness so well, even his mother would have to thank you. But I made a mistake, and now Lady Sujin has taken the young prince away. I. She struggles for a while but still can't get to the main issue. I help her along. Let's forget about the other stuff for now. What do you mean by saying Sujin taking the little doe away?" Naina finally breaks it down into details. She tells me that while I was away bathing in the spring, Sujin came to Fanghua estate with 4 maids, saying they were taking a stroll. I have to admire her. She was still involved in that brouhaha with Yehua and Mooking well into the night yesterday, but yet she somehow summoned enough energy to stroll all the way to my estate the very next morning. Apparently Yehua doesn't let her see the little doe nor let her come near Yilan Fanghua. It was known all over the 8 lands. She's always followed these 2 rules until today. When she came by, Naina wouldn't let her in. When Naina left and returned with some water for the doe, he was no longer there. She instantly ran out to chase Sujin down and ran into me on the way. I pat her shoulders and reassure her, it was Yehua who brought the dough away. Sujin didn't do anything, you don't have to worry. Having heard Naina's words, I can now see she wards off Yehua's mistress like she's warding off pests. Did this mistress Sujin have anything to do with the little doe's mother jumping down Zuxiantai? Her expression abruptly turns white. At length she says, Tianjun forbids everyone from mentioning this. Every maid who knew of the incident was removed from heaven and employed elsewhere now. Just as I raise my head, I see the Admirable One standing behind Yehua's estate with a smiling face. She slightly bows and says, Sister, I came here just now but you weren't here, so I was about to go over to the spring to greet you. But then you returned back to the estate, so I hastily came over. How fortunate to finally see you, sister. I'm still annoyed by her two maids this morning. Now she keeps sister this sister that, making my suppressed irritation surface once more. I hate to be called sister by someone else, all because Xian Nu used to call me that way in the past. If you had wanted to greet me, you could have done so last night when we met. Why wait until now? Her smiling face instantly freezes. At length her body straightens as she brightly smiles again. Heaven is a little different from elsewhere. If it's an important visit, there needs to be proper preparations to satisfy customs in order to show the visitors respect. Of course I should greet you when you arrived, but His Highness never mentioned this important event to me. I didn't recognize you last night, so I'm now late in greeting you. Please forgive me, sister. Each of her words is indeed carefully chosen. But that word sister is giving me headaches. I tap the fan on my hand and nod. I've only arrived here, so I'm not familiar with Zhukongtian's rules and regulations. Then please go ahead and perform that greeting now. She says with shock, I just did. Well, this is news to me. I can only remember a slight curtsy from her. Is that the proper greeting a crown prince's mistress should give to a high deity like myself? I was dissatisfied, but I let it go and say, oh, you did? What a simple friendly greeting. I still haven't finished when the Admirable One, who was still standing with her face held high moments ago, who merely bent her legs a little when she greeted me, suddenly drops onto her knees. A shadow seems to fleet outside the gate. I clear my throat. What are you doing now? The Admirable One's expression transformed into gentle kindness as she says, my curtsy was used accordingly for the princess consort. And this one now is for my benefactor. I'm very grateful you've taken care of A Li these past few months. You probably know that A Li lost his mother since he was a baby. Please forgive him for mistaking you as his mother, for you look exactly like her. His Highness' love for A Li's mother is rather great. When she threw herself down Zuxiantai, he also followed her. Look, sister, this peach tree was planted by His Highness in remembrance of A Li's mother. Those 200 years were His Highness' best moments in life. What fate it is that you should look so much like her. This bow from me is my wish for you and His Highness to soon get married so that his withered heart can be comforted. When I learn I'm only a replacement for the little doe's mother, everything that has happened makes more sense now. Although I know exactly what she's getting at, I feel bad I won't be able to do as she wishes, fighting with Yehua about his misplaced love for me. I leisurely get up and walk over to her. I use my fan to pat on her shoulder and say, what you want isn't necessarily what everyone wants. Don't get ahead of yourself. Right, there's also something I want to remind you. When I receive others' greetings, it is according to King Kai's customs. If you really want to greet me, you should wash and fast for 3 days. Follow that with 3 kneels and 9 bows. I know it's a bit much, but I have enough rights to it even from your husband Yehoah. If in the future you want to officially greet me, then do it according to our King Kai's traditions. If not, then don't bother. But don't tell me again about heaven's regulations. Also, my mother's never given me a little sister. It feels wrong for someone so young to call me older sister. It's best to address me ladyship as you should. I feel much better now that I said my piece. I see her shaking knuckles as I slightly glance over her. She's only a child after all. No matter how carefully she disguises her face, she can't mask her juvenile ways. I click my tongue and wave Nana over. We walk past the admirable one kneeling on the floor and go on to the spring. I couldn't have imagined Yehoah to be a lovelorn man. Now that I see it, I don't know why, but it makes me sad. If he had loved the doe's mother so much, wouldn't he have killed the admirable one for forcing the doe's mother to jump down Zuxian Tai? I unknowingly speak up my thoughts. Nana says with her head lowered, "You're right, he did slash her once. When he woke up, he was without spirit and strength. He locked himself inside his chamber all day long, not even caring about the little prince." After 2 months, Tianjun sent Lady Sujin to Sao Palace. It was a warm sunny day, very auspicious, but Lady Sujin couldn't go one step inside the palace. My own 2 eyes saw His Highness piercing his sword into her chest, his face unchangingly cold. It was a deadly strike, but Tianjun appeared in time and rescued her. After that she successfully came into Sao Palace under the protection of Tianjun. His Highness only sees her as the vessel containing my lady's eyes. Everyone says she's pitiful, but I think she only brought it on herself. Surprised, I ask, "What eyes?" Nana grits her teeth. Her eyes were stolen from my ill-fated lady. I'm lost in thoughts. Normally I always try to ask for all the details when I come across strange tales as this. But I don't know why, as if there is some entanglement within me, I only sigh this time. Nana's eyes redden as she says, "I was naive, and so was my mistress. I found out later that lasting here for 3 years wasn't easy to begin with." Lady Lizzie said His Highness purposely hid his feelings to protect my mistress. He deceived everyone including her, but he couldn't deceive the one person he needed to deceive the most, Tianjun. As she finishes her words, her face suddenly blanches white and she quivers. "I said more than I should." She said a lot. I understood the first half, but I couldn't hear too well the second half, so I'm not sure which part she shouldn't have said. I just know I feel confused and burdened now. As we near Yilan Fang Hua, an auspicious light approaches us from the distance. Jian is now leaning against the estate's wall grinning at me. Now that I think about it, he might have been the shadow in front of the garden when Sujin was kneeling down to me. I was angry, so my words to Sujin might have been impolite, and even with some superiority. I'm beyond embarrassed to think that Jian might have heard such verbiage. He keeps on his jovial face as he comes before me to say, "It's been quite some years since I last saw you with that sort of pettiness. To see it again today is quite an honor." I used to regret bringing you to Kunlun, but it seems you picked up an extra talent there, the art of shrewdly edifying someone. No longer the same innocent and sunny girl. Look at you now, hopeless, I dare say. I'm already 140,000 years old. If we count it the mortal way, I'd already be an ancient granny. I'd scare people to death if I'm still innocent and sunny. But I know Jian will never feel old even if I do, so I swallow back my thoughts and say, you're right, I really dislike that little mistress of Yehua. I'm normally fond of smart fairies, but I hate the ones who think themselves smart in front of me. I merely reminded her a little here and there as a senior to a junior. You can't count that as being petty. Don't overpraise me. He continues to grin. Yehua brought me to heaven just yesterday and you've followed us today. You didn't come here only to eavesdrop on me. He lightly coughs and glances over at Naina. She understands and curtsies. I'll leave first. I nod. Jian waits for Naina to disappear in the distance before putting on a grave expression. My heart flutters at this sight. 300 years ago when I woke up from my sleep, he also put on the same expression and told me, Moi Wan is probably going to wake up. He fed me with false hope. Looking at his eyes now, that hope starts to appear once more. But I fear all my hopes will be in vain again. I hold back my hands within my sleeves and say with my calmest voice, drop that face. I'm not in a hurry for anything. He drops that grave expression and smiles plainly. What if I say Moi Wan is awake? Will you still not go? All the heat from my heart goes straight to my eyes. I hear myself hoarsely say, You're lying to me again. He pats my shoulders and says, little brat, I'm not lying to you. I went to the West Sea a few days ago on business and met the eldest prince of Zihai Shuahun. I detected inconsistent energy on him. After examining him, I discovered his body is housing two spirits. One of himself, and the other, of your teacher Moi Wan. I stare at my embroidered shoes on the ground. How do you know that spirit belongs to Moi Wan? That sleeping spirit in the West Sea Prince's body is made from piecing together many destroyed fragments. There is only Moi Wan in this world who has the ability to do such thing. Furthermore, he's the son of the first deity. I was raised by the first deity himself and grew up with Moi Wan, so I'm familiar with his energy. Didn't you used to say he told his disciples to wait for him? He's used 70,000 to piece together his soul, but there are still some missing fragments out there. That's why he needs to stay on another body. Except this prince isn't that strong. He doesn't even have enough energy to cultivate himself, let alone supporting Moi Wan. If teacher is borrowing the prince's energy to feed his own soul, then how will he repay such a large favor? Jian clears his throat and unhurriedly says, Moi Wan has his reasons to choose the eldest prince of the West Sea. I recall that he owed Moi Wan a favor as a child, so just think this as his repayment. Then he lifts my face up and frowns, little brat, what are you crying for? I quickly bring my hand to my face and sure enough tears have fallen since I don't know when. My body slides onto the ground as I uselessly grab his sleeve. I'm so scared that this will turn out to be a hopeless dream. End of chapter 17.